this may be just a matter of definition. I heard you just say that there are two intimate observations, or intuitions. One is that consciousness is real, and that resonated, and the other that there is only one reality, and that did not resonate. I don't understand the words.
If you take a cat and you divide, okay, there is a tail, there is the body of the cat, and there is the head of the cat. These divisions are only names that we project onto the cat. The cat is a cat, as it is. The cat is one single reality, and then through operation of the mind we see parts. But the cat doesn't come with labels on it saying, okay, this is a cat head, this is a cat body, this is a cat tail, you see. So if you transpose that to the world, our experience, everything, the distinction we make are mind distinctions. But our experience is one. Nature is one. You see, I don't know, perhaps you would remove one, I should ask the physicist, but you would remove one particle from the entire universe and the universe would collapse. It wouldn't be the way it is. You see what I mean? Because there would be a violation of the laws. So, this intuition that there is only one reality is the intuition that everything is one. Also, it could be expressed by saying that everything is interrelated. That the laws of, for instance, the laws of physics, they seem to apply everywhere. In other words, they apply to a domain which is way bigger than our body. So within this domain, the reality of this domain, to which our body belongs, because our body is also subjected to these laws, this domain is everything is interdependent. Because there is, it's like a kingdom where the laws apply to the entire kingdom. So there is a oneness to it. But what I am saying here are just, they are not proofs. It is something that cannot be proven. Just as we cannot prove that consciousness is real. We know it within, from within. I cannot prove it to you. And also, it's important in my answer to be a little precise when what we mean by real. Because even the word real, reality, is not a good work etymologically. because it comes from the Latin word res, which means a thing, which means... So already there is some materialism involved when we define reality as that which is a thing. It's very different from the word reality in German, for instance, Wirklichkeit, because it comes from a verb wirken, which has the same etymology as work, and the same etymology, in fact, as energy. It means that which creates a movement, that which creates, that which sets things into motion. And that's closer to what I mean by reality. The hidden origin of the things, not the things themselves, because the things, they always change. But that which creates them and doesn't change. And so this notion of reality is that which is always the same, that never changes. So how do we know about it? And the opposite of reality is illusion, right? That which is not real. How do we know as we wake up in the morning that the people we interacted with and the trees and the mountains during the dream are not real? How do we know that they are not real? We know it because they have absolutely disappeared, you see. They cannot be found anywhere. That's what I mean by absolute disappearance. They have totally vanished because, so then we say, well, they never existed in the first place, right? They were not real. So if an illusion is something that vanishes absolutely, reality being the opposite, is that which never vanishes absolutely. So that would be the definition of reality. And it is a source of that which is in time and in space. It is therefore beyond time and space.
With that analogy, I thought you were going in a different direction, because it seems that everything's vanishing.
Well,
that bed that I slept in and dreamt in last night is gone.
But look at your experience. If you ask yourself, okay, what is the reality of my human experience? And the reality of my human experience must be my reality, right? And if you think about what is the reality of my human experience, what is that is always present? Is it not consciousness? Consciousness is that which is present in your experience all the time. That's why we know that we are conscious with a certainty of 100%. Whereas anything else, we cannot have the same certainty. That there is a computer here, we may be dreaming right now, and upon waking up from this dream, it turned out this computer was not real. So, but nevertheless, our consciousness perceiving the computer is real. So there is, with reality comes this certainty also, this absolute certainty. So the reality of our experience is consciousness, because that's the changeless element, and everything else changes. Our body changes, our thoughts change. Every atom in our molecule in our body changes. Even the way our body works changes. But the consciousness doesn't. The Anandamai, the sage Anandamai, she would say, I've always been the same. It was the same consciousness being aware of the baby, of the little girl, of the woman, of the older woman. I've always been the same consciousness. I've always been the same. No change there. And this consciousness knows itself. It knows that it is real. The problem is that it believes to be limited without really seeing all the implications of this belief. Because if this consciousness is limited, it means there are other realities, right? So then there is more than one reality. For instance, each individual consciousness of each being would be a reality of its own. And then there is the reality of the world out there, of this extraordinary universe, and possibly more realities. The problem with the many realities theory is with the interaction among these realities. How do they interact with one another if they are truly separate? If they are not separate, then why make a distinction? Because it means that they belong to a bigger reality. You see, so that's food for thought.
Well, it brings up the thing you said earlier about how your computer is not my computer, that computer there.
Your perception and my perception are different.
Right. So is that evidence of two realities?
No, because, for instance, what you were perceiving yesterday at the same time as now, and what you are perceiving now are different. The fact that what you were perceiving yesterday and what you are perceiving today is different, does that imply that these are two different consciousnesses?
No.
So, in other words, the same consciousness can perceive different things. Just that in the case of your perception of the computer and my perception of the computer, when we go down to the level of one perception, one mind, we don't remember the other mind. There is a forgetting as we go into the level of mind. But that doesn't imply that it is not the same consciousness doing the perceiving everywhere. Think about it in your body. Do you have one consciousness to perceive what you have in your left hand and another consciousness to perceive what you have in your right hand?
No.
Right? It's the same consciousness that can perceive both hands.
But my consciousness doesn't perceive what your consciousness perceives, right?
How do you know?
Only because you told me you were looking at the front of the screen.
How do you know? You see that perhaps you have perceived it and you forget. You, just as when you are perceiving, let's say you have a carrot in one hand and you have an apple in the other hand. And when you are perceiving the carrot with your left hand, you say, well, that's a carrot. At that moment, you are not perceiving the apple, you see. And then you are perceiving the apple, you are not perceiving the carrot. It is still the same consciousness doing both perceptions.
It's just that it seems to imply that since you're seeing something that I'm not, it implies that there's an aspect of consciousness that I am not aware of.
When you say I,
consciousness is not aware of.
yes, when you say I, Um, let's put it this way. When you go to the experience of consciousness, the experience through which you know that you are conscious, do you see any differences there? Do you see any objective element?
No.
Yes. So consciousness is not like an object. It doesn't have limiting qualities. It doesn't have color, shape, form, extension in space, extension in time, etc. It is a place of perfect simultaneity or eternity also, both together. It's beyond time. So when we assume that consciousness is not perceiving, we assume that it perceives here, and then it stops perceiving. We assume that it is in time. For something to begin and to stop, it has to be in time. We cannot apply to consciousness the objective qualities, the qualities of objects that we perceive. And this objection comes from this place that we see consciousness as an object. But the answer is this that I've given you. You don't have any objections to admit that it is the same consciousness which is aware of different things in time, in you. You were aware of your breakfast and now you are aware of our conversation. And while we are aware of our conversation, your breakfast is not present, not at all. Only when I bring it up, but other than that, it wasn't present. And however, in spite of the fact that your breakfast is not present, you are not denying that it was you as consciousness, the same consciousness that was aware of the breakfast, right? But if you say, okay, I am aware of this side of the computer, but you are denying that you were, as consciousness, aware of the other side of the computer. Now, why is it that in one case you agree that it is the same consciousness and the other case you don't? It is because in the first case you have the memory of your breakfast that you can recall. Whereas in this case, you don't remember being aware of this. Now, let's assume we had an experience of telepathy, and you would be aware of my view of the computer. Would you, as a result of this telepathic experience, draw the correct conclusion that consciousness is the same? No, because a lot of people have had telepathic experience and they are not awakened as a result. You would still consider it like being a transmission between two separate minds. You see, in other words, even if you were to see what I see, which is kind of the claim that you make that which you would require in order to understand that it is the same consciousness. But even if you had this experience of seeing what I see, your interpretation could still be, well, it was a transmission between mind. It doesn't imply it was the same consciousness. You see? So even this proof that you seem to require wouldn't satisfy you. It cannot be accessed that way. It can be accessed only through consciousness itself, not through objects, not through phenomenal experience. This understanding that you and I, we are the same consciousness. But if you want to reach it intellectually, through logic and reason, the path is to understand, to see from your own experience that consciousness is real on the one hand, and also to interrogate, to investigate your intuition that there is only one reality. Getting everybody bored. Thank you. It was very sweet. Very sweet. Thank you.